Moving. I am a god of thunder. Hello.
How's
So-
it gone?
Going all right. So today we'll review this movie, The Court Jester.
This is a film. Do not disrespect this film.
This film. But
It's
I
not
am.
just a movie. It is an experience.
It is quite an experience.
This is every time I watch it, I feel good.
It's just one of those really fun, lovable films that you can go back.
Exactly. It's so charming. It's so fun.
So The Court Jester. So it's a 1950s musical that's just got a lot of charm and real fun to it. It follows these I forgot his name now, but it follows this guy. He's part of his clan of
Hubert Hawkins.
Yeah, Peter Hawkins. And they're pretty much they're kind of like a Robin Hood clan of people,
Yeah.
and there's just been this rebellion in England, and a new king's taken the throne or whatever, and but there's this baby, he's been born, he's the rightful heir, and they're trying to protect the baby and trying to restore his claim to the throne. Is a very basic summary of what happens, and through the film there's antics and fun and musical numbers, and it's just fun.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the faults, because I mean there are a couple with the plot and maybe with the characters. I'd say it's not like it's ever detracting too much from the experience. You still watch it and you're like, you know what, this is fun. This is so much fun. You can't hate this film. If you hate it, you are a horrible person. Actually, that's a lie. But it's very much a product of its time, and I think that's the main thing. You'll struggle to not enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's one of those films that is just hard to dislike.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a little bit hokey and a little bit. Some of the dialogue is a bit very much of its time.
Yeah, exactly. Would you say it's campy a little bit?
Yeah, it's very campy. It's
very campy, yeah.
But
not just a little bit, just a lot.
Yeah. But camp isn't a bad thing when it's done right. And this is a film where it executes camp really well.
The perfect word to describe it is just charm.
Mm.
I feel the acting for the most part, it's all good. I don't think there's anything like super standout, but I mean, none of it's bad. None of it's bad at all.
No, none of it's bad. It's all pretty good acting. I think Basil Rathbone probably gave the best performance. He was kind of that other faction who was trying to overthrow the king, but wasn't a fan of the black, what were they called?
The Black
Foxes. He had the mustache.
Yeah.
So I think he was probably the most complicated character in the whole film. Because a lot of the others are kind of black and white. They're good, they're bad. Ravenhurst is a bit of a grey in between. So he's as complicated as you're going to get in this film, and he's not really that complicated.
Yeah, so I feel like for the most part, the characters I wouldn't say they're just purely one-dimensional or like two-dimensional, but at the same time, they aren't super complex.
This is a family kind of film, and with these kind of movies, you want your characters to be simple but relatable. You don't want something in depth, and that works fine.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that it needed to be was fun, and it does that very well. You can't hate this.
And it's got some really good costume design and set design, and while you can tell it was made from the 50s, it kind of suits it, even if the sets are a bit unreal, they're kind of fairy tale-ish, and that kind of works with this film.
It's a little bit fairy tale-ish, but it's not like so ridiculously like fantasy sort of. Not to that point. And
it's really colorful. Like the way the film is shot and the cinematography, it just oozes with color, and even that, it makes it just an enjoyable film to watch when it's choreographed and shot well.
I feel a really underrated aspect where, I mean, all that stuff, it does help because it looks good. You want to keep looking at it. And that's just like some of the special effects are a little bit dated, and you can tell even with the practical effects. Sometimes you can tell it's very much like there's a prop, but
I feel like that kind of works with its charm, though. Even though the sets and design and the costumes and some of that is a bit outdated, it kind of works with it, and I feel like it kind of gives you a bit. It doesn't work,
but it still works.
It doesn't work, but it does work, and it kind of gives like that fairy tale vibe.
I've seen this film I think like 4 or 5 times at least. This is the second time watching it this year. I've seen this movie a lot, and I still chuckle. It is a funny film. But what do you think in terms of the comedy aspect?
I think it works really well, actually. The comedy is it's quirky, it's fun, it's done, and there's a bit of slapstick in it too. It kind of works really well with the character that they've set up with the court jester. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and it's just kind of, it gives you a chuckle.
Yeah, exactly. At the very least, you're chuckling. Not a lot of jokes don't land. Maybe on repeat viewings, or if you're not really, again, a huge fan of this sort of like genre and, this sort of era of film, maybe it won't be as funny for you, but it still works. And I feel like nowhere really exemplifies this than in the scene where Hawkins, as the jester, around halfway through, he does his huge solo monologue, gesturing thing in front of the court. How it goes on for like it's like a 3-minute sort of like,
oh yeah,
musical number on his own. Again, just sort of highlights the sort of the campiness, the comedy aspects of it, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And with that 3-minute monologue, that thing had the potential to really go badly if it had not been executed right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We've talked about the acting a little bit, and for the most part, I'd say it's average. It's nothing great, but I feel like the actors excel when it comes to the comedic moments and the musical numbers, and that's when they shine in this movie, because they're able to land it in every moment pretty much. Donny Kayne, he's a good actor, but when he gets a chance to do his comedy, he is great.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently he's hung. I've been told by Dad, I don't know where he got this from. Apparently he's hung like a horse, but that's
wow.
Yeah, that's I actually I remember Dad telling this, and I'm like, why do I know this now?
How does he know that?
If I'm burdened with this knowledge, so are you.
How does he know that? One thing we haven't touched on yet, and I don't know why we haven't, is the musical numbers in this.
Yes, all of them are solid, at the very least, if not fantastic.
Right from the get-go, because the opening titles are a musical number, and it gets your attention, and it grabs you from the moment go, and it sets up the mood, the atmosphere for this movie with Donny Kayne's song and his dance rhythms, and you can tell this is just going to be a dumb blast of a time.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, what was your favorite musical number?
I think the one that stands out to me is the one. It's one of the very first songs. It's a Black Fox song.
Yes. Girls can never outfox the fox. Can never outfox. Like, oh, that's so good. Oh, it's so good.
It's just so humorous and really grabs you, and it's got this really dumb musical number going on. It's just kind of hilarious.
Again, like that one, and probably the solo number with Donny is probably the best two. They are iconic to me, but they're obviously not as iconic as the main musicals that you've heard about throughout history, because the court jester flies under the radar.
It's a very underrated classic.
All the characters, the plot, it's serviceable. I feel like there's a lot of Deus Ex Machina, to be honest. Like whenever the plot just needs to happen, it's just sort of like, hey, a character overhears something, or something just happens and it just works. It's still fun, and you can't hate the movie for it. You can't hate the movie in general. It's so much fun, from like the musical numbers to the comedy, just the cheese. It just works.
Got a final score for it?
8.5.
8.5. Yeah, I think I'll go and give it an 8. I think you enjoyed this movie more than me, but it's just a really good film. And if you're a fan of the old school Hollywood type musical, this is a film you'll really love. Well, thanks for joining today, and subscribe for more.
Thank you again for having me. Now, you viewers, you know what you need to do. You see where that red button, you need to make sure you click that subscribe button, all right? You need to click the bell. That is like right up there as well, so you guys know when shit's coming out. Yeah. And then finally,